right. You tell me when we are ready.
Yes. Why is this? And you are live.
Thank you very much. So this is the January 13th, 2022 Coastal Permit Administrator hearing. First thing is Mendocino County Coastal Permit Administrator meetings will be conducted virtually and not available for in-person public participation. The provisions of the Government Code Section 54953 and the recommendations of the Mendocino County Health Officer. Meetings are live streamed and available for viewing on the Mendocino County YouTube page at www.youtube.com/Mendocino County Video. All right, so what I am doing is I'm calling the meeting to order at 10 a.m. Do we have a determination of noticing?
I'm sorry, it looks like we're having I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is all that there is. It stopped on this.
All right, we'll pause for a technical difficulty and come back and see if we can get IT to fix this.
I have put you on mute, but the video stopped. He said that the sound was okay, but the video was.
Are we ready?
Scott says it looks like we're good, so we can try again.
All right. Well, we had some technical difficulties in streaming the meeting. So let's see here. Let's take it from the top again. This is a virtual meeting of the Coastal Permit Administrator for January 13th, 2022. And I did previously call the meeting open. You need to unmute.
You are unmuted.
Unmuted, okay.
Vandy, can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, good. All right. So, as I mentioned, we called the meeting to order at 10 a.m. And with that, the question that I had was, do we have a determination of legal noticing?
Yes.
All cases have been properly noticed?
All cases have been properly noticed.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us to item number 3, which is the regular calendar. And the first item is timed for 10 a.m., which is case number CDP 2018-0007. And the owner applicant is Vaughn Scott. The agent is Spade Natural Resources Consulting. The request is an after-the-fact standard coastal development permit request to construct a 400 square foot shed less than 50 feet from the wetlands, remove vegetation, and change the occupancy to storage and temporary camping. This project has been determined to be statutory exempt from CEQA. The property or the site is located within the coastal zone, 3 plus or minus miles north of the town of Manchester, on the west side of State Route 1, located at 16,200 South Highway 1 in Manchester. Assessor's parcel number 132170-07. And may I please get a staff report?
Thank you. Senior Planner Sam Vandy Vandewater. I am presenting in place of Juliana Cherry, who is unable to be present today. So bear with me as I go through her report. As you mentioned, this project is an after-the-fact standard coastal development permit to request the construction, or to after-the-fact permit the construction of a 400 square foot shed that's less than 50 feet from wetlands. Additionally, this would legalize vegetation that was removed for that construction, as well as changing the occupancy of the shed into a storage structure. The applicant had, the agent requested a public hearing on August 10th, and Planner Cherry scheduled this project hearing, recommending denial of the project based on an incomplete application. Because of the Planner Cherry's determination, a lot of the local program consistency was not completed due to not having been referred out to public agencies. Therefore, at this time, staff cannot determine if the project is consistent with the local coastal program and recommends denial of the application. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you
I'm
very
available
much.
for any questions.
All right. Do we have anybody from the applicant side that wishes to speak on this matter?
We do.
Good morning, this is Teresa Spade, and I am working for my private consulting company, Spade Natural Resources Consulting. I'm the agent for Vaughn Scott, who is the property owner and is the applicant for this project. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So I want to make a couple clarifications. One of the main clarifications is that during the application intake process for this application, the project planner at the county had requested a number of items that I thought were unnecessary, and I did not agree that they would facilitate any analysis or approval of the project. I was in conversation with Julia Acker via email and telephone conversations over the course of the application period. And, you know, I'll say up front, the conversations we had spanned a pretty long period of time. I understand Julia is very busy. I have had a bunch of other projects going on as well. So it was kind of a thing where we would talk, and then, you know, the conversation line would get dropped for a while, and then it would get picked back up. And in any case, the last time that she and I had talked about this, she had agreed that it was reasonable to drop a number of the items that Juliana was requesting from the application. And the last item that I really needed clarification on was Juliana had asked for a number of additional fees that were beyond what we paid when we submitted the application. And at the time of the application submittal, I did negotiate what the fees were that we would like to pay. There was agreement from the county regarding what those fees would be. Those were paid at that time. And then the additional fees that Juliana was asking for included violation fees that we had already negotiated were just above and beyond what was appropriate for the level of development that this project is subject to. And so that was kind of the main thing. There was also some additional fees associated with architectural review, and possibly, I'm not sure if we paid the CEQA fees at first or not, and I'd have to look into that. But that I think another part of the fees was for doing the CEQA analysis. I did have a conversation with Vandy where he said he would look into the fees a little bit for me and see if it would be possible to drop some of those fees. That was maybe within the past week that we had that conversation. But what my belief is that we had submitted sufficient information to move forward with referring the project out. And I believe with the conversations that I had with Julia that can be confirmed. And the project never was referred out. And so I don't think that it was really ever given a chance. And if the project is denied today, what that means is that all of those fees will have to be paid again by the applicant. And I don't think that that is appropriate because I believe it was staff that chose not to process the application. It was staff that didn't refer the project out. It was staff that didn't do the CEQA analysis. And there was really a lack of communication when this project was brought forward, in that Juliana didn't really communicate to me, to the applicant, or to Julia Acker regarding where we were with our conversations and where we were with how we were looking at moving forward. And when I had talked to Julia, we had talked about some different options about moving forward. And I think that one of the things that we were looking at was submitting some additional information to support the development being in the least impacting location as one option. The other option being possibly looking at analysis for moving forward with moving the structure to the least impacting location on the property if there is a location that is less impacting. And I want to stress that a couple things regarding this property. One of those things is that this is an old mill site. There was a mill here that was took over the entire flat part of the property. I think it was around the 1940s, 1950s. Much of the property has been graded. Much of the property has been paved. And what has happened over the years is that some vegetation has grown, on the paving. And so it's been sort of naturally, I guess, restoring itself to the extent that it can, given that, there was a pretty significant development that happened there years ago. Part of that development included the foundation, which is a cement foundation that the subject structure was built on. So that foundation that the structure was built on, it's my understanding, and from my research and looking at aerial photos, I believe it to be true, that was actually there as a pre-existing foundation that was part of the mill development. When I did the natural resources study for this property, what I found is there's a whole lot of resources there. There are a lot of wetlands, and I believe that because of the grading and because of the compaction and other materials that were placed there, it really decreased how much permeability in the soil there is, and that has contributed towards the amount of wetlands that are on the property. So that's a big constraint there, is that there are wetlands. It is an oceanfront property, so there are portions of the property near the ocean that are steeper, that are more in a natural state, that have rare plants along the bluffs there. And just that whole section would not be appropriate for development because of, it just being very high quality and being steep. So there's constraints there. There is Point Arena mountain beaver that we found near the stream that is on the east side of the property line there. And that's the riparian area that is associated with that. This building is pretty much right on the edge of that riparian area. And in fact, looking at aerial photos, it looks like perhaps when that structure was constructed that some of the branches may have been trimmed in the vicinity of that foundation to accommodate the building. I don't believe that any trees were actually cut down or vegetation was actually removed from the ground. But I do believe that there was some trimming that could have occurred at that point, and to the extent at which that vegetation has regrown is something that would be good to take a look at. The other thing is that there's not really, even looking at the wetland constraints, there's some other rare plants that are present in the grassland. So there's an area on the site that meets 100 feet from all the wetlands. It's kind of in the middle of everything, and I have it shown on my site plan. But within that 100-foot area of the grassland, there's potential for rare plants to be there. And I did not find rare plants there when I did my studies. However, the habitat is there for those plants. And for that reason, if there was a determination by agencies or whoever that they wanted the structure moved to that area, I would recommend that there be a survey done of that area first to make sure that it's not going to impact any rare plants there. My take on it is that since the development already happened, if he had built in that spot, there's no way, within that grassland, there's no way that I could say for sure that he wouldn't have impacted any resources. Because he built on the cement slab, I can tell for sure, what impacts to resources there were. And I would say that the only impacts that I can see in that location is the trimming of the vegetation that occurred in order to kind of open up that existing slab. So, from my perspective, where he built that structure was most likely the best location he could have built without a permit, because it's the most clear to me that it would not have impacted any resources. Other than that, given the fact that all he really wants to do there is temporary camping, and he's not looking at building a giant house. He's not looking at putting in a major facility there. And he has been managing his property in a way that has allowed for an abundant amount of resource restoration there. So, the fact that there is habitat that's active for Point Arena mountain beaver, there are rare plants there. It's just a really, given how much development was there in the past, it's my opinion that he's done a really nice job of being a property owner and keeping the site in a way that facilitates natural resources there. I would ask that the project be continued to a date in the future, and that the project be reassigned. It's my belief, based on the way that this application has been processed, that there is a bias by the project coordinator, I would request that we be given a new project coordinator that would be willing to try and process the application and work with us towards an approval. And that, the project be given adequate time to be referred out, be vetted by the agencies, and come back with a CEQA analysis and a coastal permit analysis. And so that's what my request is at this time. I believe that Von Scott may be and he's the property owner. He may be here on the phone, and he might have some further comments, or he may be here to answer questions.
Thank you. Question that I have for both you, Teresa, and Vandy, and I'm trying to rationalize this. Did you not ask for this item to be brought to a hearing, and now you're asking that this be continued? I'm a little confused.
I was not consulted regarding this item being brought to a hearing. So that was a decision that Juliana made.
Did you request this item to be brought forth to a hearing?
No, I did not. So there was a time at which I had asked Juliana to move forward with the application. That was back in, I believe, 2020. That was a long time before, much more current conversations with Julia Acker.
If I may, through the chair, Vandy, senior planner, I do not, Juliana Cherry still has the project file with her, as she had originally intended to be present for this meeting. However, because she is and I do not have the file, and I cannot neither confirm nor deny the communications between Teresa and Planner Cherry.
Okay. You mentioned submitting additional information regarding the least impacting area. Was this discussed with staff, and why wasn't this submitted sooner?
This was discussed most recently with Julia Acker, and it was part of an email conversation that I'm happy to forward to you if you would like to see it, or I can pull it up on the screen. But at the time that we were having that conversation, I approached my client and said, here's some options. And what he said was, the big piece that we really need to get resolved here is whether I need to pay these substantial fees that are being asked for. And so I came back to Julia Acker at that time and asked the question, does he need to pay these fees? And this is all outlined in an email conversation. I didn't get an answer. I asked again. I think there was a couple times that I forwarded that back to Julia. I know she's really busy. I know that I rely too much on her, but that's kind of where the conversation was left at. I had never received that response.
Well, my understanding from staff, Mandy confirmed this was requested to be brought forth to a hearing, and I'm being told that it should be continued. This is a violation, needs to be resolved. It's been around for 4 years, and obviously there's information that needed to be submitted and hasn't been submitted, and that's one of the reasons why the analysis can't be completed. So it seems like this, for lack of a word, a game of going back and forth, and not being able to complete the requests. The issue is least impacting that you brought up, but yet there's no information here that addresses that. I'm going to go back to staff and basically look to staff and see how much more information would be necessary, what's the time frame? I mean, this thing's been stewing around for 4 years, so I'd like to make a decision today on this.
Vandy, senior planner, I believe what was requested by Juliana, that I'm not sure what the communications between Teresa and Julia were, but it appears that the requested documents included a report of compliance due to the project being within an ESHA, or within the 50-foot buffer of an ESHA, as well as a takings analysis, to demonstrate that the current location is in the most feasible place that doesn't impact ESHA. In terms of additional information, I am not aware of any additional items that Juliana has requested at this time.
And because we have wetlands, because we have issues there, I mean, these are all valid items that need to be submitted. I mean, you know, regardless of the fees, I mean, this information should have been submitted, and it hasn't.
Can I comment on that? So that is not the extent of the items that Juliana was asking for. And in fact, those 2 items, I don't know that they were even on her list. So she was asking for a topographic map. She was asking for an analysis of the bluff edge, which is really far from the property. Let me pull up a list of what she was asking for here, because it's outlined in one of my emails to Julia Acker. And in fact, when I had talked with Julia Acker, I was the one that had brought up the report of compliance as being something that seemed legitimate to be moving forward, to support the building being in its existing location. And like I said, that was one of the options that we were looking at. I don't think a takings analysis is warranted, and here's why I say that. A takings analysis is something that the Coastal Commission has come up with. Its process is to determine whether or not the proposed use of the property is reasonable and of the same size as surrounding uses of similar property. And since the only proposed use that we're talking about is temporary camping and a very small structure for storage, obviously it's going to be much smaller than any of the surrounding developments. And so doing an analysis to see how many square feet all the neighbors have just seems really overkill in my mind. It's a costly analysis. It takes a lot of time, and the results are certainly going to point to this being well smaller than anything the neighbors are doing on similar properties. So, in my mind, the takings analysis just doesn't seem to make sense given the size of this development. And so that was one of the items that I do not believe that Julia had asked for that to support. I think that we were just talking about the report of compliance. And again, I had talked to Von Scott about moving forward with the report of compliance, and we were just waiting on that response because, those additional fees that were being asked for, it was over like $7,000. And given, for one thing, my client, he's not a rich person. He worked really hard to obtain this property because it has family value. He is a ranch hand. When COVID hit, he had financial issues. And so it has been a struggle for him in terms of finances to even consider, moving forward with any sort of analysis. And so that's that's a big part of the picture, is that, additional fees were being asked for that were substantial, to the extent where, it was making it impossible to even consider.
So what I'm hearing here is that you're asking me to approve a project without a takings analysis, where our own code requires that we do a taking analysis, and this would be inconsistent. So
Actually, I'm
regardless of
not
the
at,
fees, to
Yeah.
resolve these issues, I mean, there's not enough information here to make a decision today. And I would have to basically support staff. However, if all of the requested information is submitted in the next 60 days, I can take that under consideration and make a decision at that point in time, if provided the information leads to a positive recommendation.
so much of that is going to be outside of my control. I believe that, 60-day processing is going to be reliant upon staff getting the referrals back in a timely manner. And, depending on what the responses are from those referrals, and that includes, a referral out to the Archaeological Commission. It needs to get scheduled for an Archaeological
I
Commission
understand the
meeting.
process. I understand the
Yeah,
process.
I'm just saying,
What I'm looking
60
at
days
is-
might not be realistic
Right.
in terms
So
of
what
your
I'm looking
timeframe.
at here is the possibility, I'm contemplating right now, is one, this application's been around for a long time. It is a violation. I'd like to go ahead and get it resolved. What I will do is I will continue this for 120 days and to a date certain. So if we can get some dates, let's see here. Today's January 13th. Okay, let's look at some dates into the future here. March, April. Okay. Let's say, just to give you adequate time, we go to April. Let's go to May 12th, which is more than sufficient time to address these issues. And I will still refer back to all of the studies that have been requested. And this project will not be reassigned, but will need to move forward. It will be processed in a timely manner, provided that all these items are submitted. But again, I'm going to defer back to the senior planner. Is this possible?
Vandy, senior planner. I believe at least, are you asking if it's possible to have everything prepared for that May hearing, or just to
Yes.
determine whether or not the materials submitted and then referred out are adequate?
No, I want this item to come back in May for a hearing. And at that point, I'll render a decision.
Let me just look at one calendar date.
So it'll be upon you, Ms. Spade, to go ahead and coordinate all these studies to determine that they're adequate and submit them, and then have staff review them.
And I'm assuming you mean the studies that Julia Acker has asked for?
We are looking, and I'm going to defer back to the senior planner, but I'm looking at minimum, the compliance report and the takings analysis. And
Okay,
any additional mapping that needs to be done to address these issues. And you work out those requirements with the assistant director and the senior planner. And if so be, any additional work that needs to be brought in that maybe the planner had requested will also need to be included. In order to make a decision, you need to have the data and the information. And it sounds like what I'm hearing here is there's a resistance to providing some of the studies.
that's absolutely not true. There was a resistance to providing information that I believed did not at all help with the analysis, and that's all. So additional topographic maps and studies having to do with the bluff edge where, you know, the structure was nowhere near that, I thought were just totally unwarranted.
If I may, through the chair, Senior Planner Vandy, I would concur that the bluff top studies and the bluff side studies would not be necessary, but that the report of compliance and takings analysis would be appropriate.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll need those studies to be able to process the application and refer it out. So obviously the clock is ticking. We go to, what did we say, May
14th.
May 14th. And that's the date that this item is continued to. If the information has not been submitted in a timely manner and a revised memo coming back to the CPA indicating which direction to go, then at that point I will go ahead and uphold staff's recommendation.
If I may, through the chair, Senior Planner Vandy, just for the record, the due date in which all materials would need to be ready would be March 27th, and we could maybe push that out a week. So the first week of April, everything would need to be completed by staff for that hearing.
Okay, perfect. So everything will be submitted and reviewed by then. Said April again, May?
May 14th.
May 14th.
Did you want
So
to
I'm-
give the applicant an opportunity to speak? Is the applicant in the audience?
There's a Pat Scott. Is Pat Scott?
To
If
speak on
there's a
this item?
Scott,
Is Pat Scott part of Von Scott?
could be.
Because they're, okay.
Go ahead and, Mr. Scott, go ahead.
Am I unmuted?
Oh,
Pat
Ms.
Scott.
Scott, yes.
No, I'm not connected at all. That's a coincidence. There are two Scotts here.
Okay,
Okay.
so it
Totally separate.
doesn't appear that Von Scott is on the line.
Okay.
So I'm continuing this item to May 14th, 2022, and all items will need to be submitted by the first week, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Vandy, by the first week of April to be processed.
Vandy, Senior Planner, yes, everything will need to be submitted on staff ends for that hearing, meaning we would need the materials well before that April date in order for us to meet that April deadline to be
Okay,
heard
so
on
for
May
clarification, when do you need the materials to be submitted, to be reviewed, referred
So,
out?
as soon as possible. The March 27th date is staff's deadline to have all materials submitted for that hearing. So all materials would need to be submitted prior to that March 27th hearing for us to go through referrals and everything.
All right, so give me a firm date.
Will referrals take at least 2 weeks?
Okay, so let's just say March 1.
April 1?
On or before March 1 to be able to get this referred out, processed, and to come back by May 14th.
Right.
So
That's it.
if we're using the same project coordinator and they are waiting for me to submit the takings analysis and the report of compliance before they refer the project out, I'm not sure if that timeline is going to work. A report of compliance requires that I obtain information from the assessor's office on probably around 50 properties in the immediate area. And so I have to put in an information request to the assessor's office in order to do a takings analysis and get that information back from them. And so I'm kind of wondering about the feasibility of this. The second thing is, I am hoping that I am still having the ability to work with the senior planner and the assistant director in terms of looking at the fees that have been asked for to see if that's something that we can reduce a little bit to make the project a little bit more feasible at this time.
So my understanding is the fees have already been expended for this project, and the request is for additional work. So I will let you work that out with the senior planner and the assistant director. All materials will need to be submitted by March 1. That means you'll be busy pulling this thing together. And so this item could go to May 14th. And I'll leave it at that. So with that said, for the record, all materials will be submitted as requested by March 1 to the Department of Planning and Building Services for review, analysis, and referral. And this item will be continued to a date certain, May 14th, 2022. Any closing comments from staff?
Vandy, Senior Planner, just to clarify that the assessor's records is intended for the takings analysis. The takings analysis does not need to be included with referrals, but the report of compliance does.
Perfect. All right. So there's a little bit more time left for the takings analysis, but I will just leave it at all requested materials by March 1. If you need additional time for the takings analysis, again, I'll let you work that out with the senior planner. All right, so that concludes this item. Continued to May 14th, date certain. All right, it is 10:42. The next item is scheduled for 11 a.m. So we will go ahead and take a brief recess and come back at 11 o'clock.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. May 12th is a Thursday.
So it's not May 14th?
We were looking at a calendar.
I'm going off your dates.
We were looking at a calendar.
We were looking at
May
April, so.
14th.
Shoot.
I'm so sorry, sir.
We're gonna have to open up the hearing again.
What do we do at 11? We'll reset it to when we open the hearing up again.
Yep.
Right now?
So at 11 o'clock, we'll do this. The audio is on.
I have it on mute. I don't know how to turn that off. The volume, the sound is on.
Sound is on. So there's the action sheet for that last one. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Let's do it.
We're going.
All right, thank you. This is the Coastal Permit Administrator meeting for January 13th, 2022. And one of the items that was just heard, item 3A, it was an incorrect date. And so I'm going to call our senior planner and see if he has been able to reach the applicant. Okay, but for the record, the date given of May 14th was the incorrect date. It should have been May 12th. The only person on the Zoom call for that item and in the public hearing was the applicant's agent. And so the staff is trying to reach or has reached the applicant's agent to correct the date from May 14th to May 12th. And so, Vandy, were you
If
able
I
to
may,
reach out?
Yes, if I may through the chair, Senior Planner Vandy, was able to contact Agent Teresa Spade and inform her of the date change, and there was no issue.
No issue then. Okay, great. So that's been corrected. And it is May 12th. So let's go ahead and proceed with the next item, which is case 3A. This is a boundary line adjustment, B 2021-003, for applicant is Patricia Scott. This is a request for a coastal development boundary line adjustment to combine two parcels to make a new parcel. Lot 1, assessor's parcel number 121-290-11, is a 0.52 acres, and Lot 2, APN 121-290-55, is a 3.39 acre parcel. The new lot will be 3.91. Okay, this has been determined to be categorically exempt. The project is located in the coastal zone, 0.37 miles southeast of downtown Little River, and on the north side of Little River Airport Road, approximately 0.17 miles east of its intersection with State Route 1, located at 44,760 and 44,724 Little River Airport Road. And APNs 121-290-35 and 121-290-11. Please get a staff report.
I do not have the planner here.
We do not have a planner here. All right, well, in the lack of staff, I've got the staff report here. This is a,
Here's the planner.
oh, okay, your item's on, need a staff report.
Yeah, my Zoom link wasn't working.
All right,
So, this is APN 121-290-11 is currently vacant, while the adjacent parcel is developed with a single-family residence, a studio, a detached garage, and a pump house. Access to this parcel is from a power line easement informally named Coombs Lane, which is located along the eastern property line with access to Little River Airport Road. This easement serves as access to at least 2 other residences. California Natural Diversity Database indicates that there is a possibility that endangered and/or threatened species may be found on these parcels, along with being located within coastal forest habitat. Staff has determined that a biological scoping survey would not be necessary for the purpose of this project because any future development on either site will require additional review by Planning Division staff. Project approval to merge the 2 subject properties would not be expected to have a significant effect on any of the plant or animal species listed in the CNDDB database or on the coastal forest habitat. The proposed project was found to be consistent with applicable goals and policies of the general plan coastal element along with Division 2 of the zoning ordinance for Mendocino County. The project is categorically exempt under Class 5A pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Section 15305. Therefore, no environmental review is required. Staff recommends approval of this BLA subject to the attached conditions of approval.
all right, thank you. Do we have the applicant online, and do you have any comments or any statements you wish to make on this, Ms. Scott?
No, I think it's pretty complete. I read what had been mailed out to me. So I have nothing further. I see the conditions of approval, and I presume it requires that I have to have a surveyor, one perimeter description of each parcel. That's, I guess, the outside line of the 2 parcels. And I'm assuming that he will understand the processes that I have to go through here. The licensed land surveyor.
That is typically the case. They can go ahead and prepare your legal descriptions to be included in the new deeds.
I'm sorry,
They typically understand that process and prepare the new legal descriptions for each of the parcels being adjusted, which will
Good.
then need to be submitted. And you would be working with Keith, your project planner, to bring this to fruition.
right.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
All right. With that, I'll bring it back to the CPA, and I will go ahead and open up the public hearing at this point. Are there any members from the public that wish to speak on this matter?
No communication has
No
come through.
communication. All right, so with that, I'll bring it back to the CPA, and I will go ahead and approve the project, subject to the findings and conditions contained within the staff report. And Ms. Scott, your project is approved.
Thank you very much. Not well, I guess I'll figure this out, the timing and all of it.
Yes, you'll be working with Keith on this.
Keith, you will, huh? Okay. No more fees?
Not from the
No.
county, other than you'll be working with your surveyor or whoever does your
Right.
legal descriptions. And then any recording fees that you pay to the recorder's office.
Oh, right. Very good.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your approval. Bye-bye.
All right, so that brings us to item, well, I'm gonna go ahead and, are you ready to do your last item?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move the agenda around, and I'm gonna go to case 3D, which is boundary line adjustment B 2021-0050. And I'm doing this because our planner is here, and it's just much more efficient. The owner is Walter R. and Donna K. Stornetta. The applicant is Vance Ricks. The agent is David Stornetta. The request is a coastal development boundary line adjustment to adjust two parcels. Parcel A, being APN 131-11047, will transfer 0.1 acres to parcel B, which is APN 131-11040. Parcel A will be reduced in size from 2.4 plus or minus acres to 2.3 acres, while parcel B will increase in size from 71.4 acres to 71.5 acres. The site is located within the coastal zone, approximately 4.91 plus minus miles north of downtown Manchester on the west side of State Route 1, 0.77 plus minus miles north of its intersection with Navarro Way, located at 44,100 Stornetta Drive in the community of Manchester. Assessor's parcel numbers 131-11040 and 131-11047. And please get a staff report.
Thank you, Director. This boundary line adjustment is to reconfigure 0.1 acres between two separate legal parcels so the existing fence/property line matches the existing section line more accurately. Parcel A is triangular in shape and fronts along State Route 1. It is undeveloped and vegetation consists of coastal grass and small shrubs along the state highway. Parcel B consists of coastal grasses, shrubs, and small trees, and it also is undeveloped. It appears to be used for cattle grazing. Access to both parcels is from a gated driveway with a paved turnout along State Route 1. This project was found to be consistent with the applicable goals and policies of the general plan's coastal element, along with Division 2 of the Mendocino County zoning ordinance. This project is categorically exempt under Class 5A pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Section 15305. Therefore, no further environmental review is required. Staff recommends approval of this BLA subject to the attached conditions of approval.
Thank you very much. So with that, do we have the applicant or their applicant's agent online to speak on this matter?
Is that,
That's Vance.
yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, do you have any comments or would like to state anything for the record?
Unless you have any questions for me.
No, it's a pretty straightforward boundary line adjustment.
Yeah, like those.
Yes, thank you. You make everybody's job easy. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to speak on this matter?
No, we have received no requests for
No
public
requests.
comment.
So with that, I'll return it back to the Coastal Permit Administrator. And after reviewing the staff report and the evidence provided to me, contained within the staff report, I will go ahead and approve the project subject to the findings and conditions contained in the staff report. Vance, thank you very much. Your project is approved.
Thank you.
All right.
Excuse me.
So that moves us to case number 2021-0040. And the owner is Sunny Ridge West Farms LLC. The applicant is Ronald S. Horn. The agent is Richard Seal. The request is a coastal development boundary line adjustment to adjust approximately 2 acres from Lot 1, which is APN 027-501-37 to Lot 2, 027-501-46. Lot number 1 will go from 22.9 acres to 20.94 acres, and Lot 2 will go from 2.05 acres to 4.0 acres. The site is located in the coastal zone, 7.9 miles northwest of Guala Town Center, lying on the west side of Iverson Road, 1.3 plus minus miles northeast of its intersection with Iverson Drive, located at 45,001 and 44,951 Iverson Road. Affects assessor's parcel numbers 027-501-37 and 027-501-46. And please get a staff report.
Thank you, Administrator. Project Planner Matt Goins. This project is categorically exempt under Class 5A, minor lot line adjustment, not resulting in the creation of any new parcels. The two lots were recognized as separate legal lots through a certificate of compliance, CC number 23-2006. Both parcels are zoned remote residential with a minimum 20-acre parcel size. Currently, Lot 1 is conforming at 22.9 acres, and Lot 2 is non-conforming at 2.05 acres. With the approval of the boundary line adjustment by the CPA, Lot 1 will continue to be non-conforming at 20.9 acres, and Lot 2 will remain non-conforming at 4.05 acres. The project referral was sent out on September 22nd, 2021, where staff received a combination of no comment and no responses. This is not a bluff-top parcel, not in the Coastal Commission appealable jurisdiction, does not contain an abundance of known sensitive resources or habitats, and no development is being proposed at this time. Therefore, much of the concerns that may occur within the coastal zone will not be applicable to this project. However, any future development may be subject to a coastal development permit. This BLA will not diminish the capacity for future development to be supported for either of the lots. Because no development is being proposed, staff finds the project to be consistent with the applicable goals and policies of the general plan and coastal element policies 3.1 through 32, 3.5-3, and 3.8 through 7. Staff finds the project is in conformance with the requirements of Mendocino County Code, Section 20.516.015, regarding the approval of the boundary line adjustment within the coastal zone. With adherence to the conditions of approval, staff recommends approval of this project, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant online?
No, sir.
No, sir. So, do we have anybody that wishes to comment? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing and ask, is there anybody that wishes to comment on this matter?
We've received no requests for public comment.
No requests. So I will go ahead and return this back to the Coastal Permit Administrator. And based on the evidence provided to me here in the staff report and the associated attachments, I will go ahead and approve this project, subject to the findings and conditions contained within the staff report. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank
All
you.
right. So that moves us to our next item, which is our final item, which is boundary line adjustment B 2021-0048. The owner applicant is Kenneth Hodges and Vanessa Nolasco. Yeah, can't even pronounce. Nolasco, thank you. Agent is Vance Ricks. Welcome again, Vance. And request is a coastal development boundary line adjustment to merge two lots into two lots in the Little River area. Lot 1, which is assessor's parcel number 121-310-14, and Lot 2, APN 121-310-15, will combine into a single lot of 1.88 acres. Location is within the coastal zone, excuse me, 0.55 plus minus miles southeast of the Little River Community Center, lying on the east side of Highway 1, 0.40 plus minus miles east of its intersection with Little River Airport Road, and it is located at 44,621 Little River Airport Road. This affects assessor's parcel numbers 121-310-14 and 121-310-15. Now please get a staff report.
Thank you for that introduction, Director. Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward merger, a voluntary merger of two existing parcels. The area in which the project is located is fairly gentle slope, moderate to heavily wooded, and this project would conform to the surrounding area and not disrupt the character. The surrounding area itself, the immediate area, is already developed with residences, and parcels existing are anywhere from 1 to 5 acres. This project was referred out to the responsible agencies. We received no comment or no response from the majority. We did receive a comment from CAL FIRE highlighting that this is in the state responsibility area and that it must adhere to Title 14 fire safe regulations. We've included that as a condition of approval. We did receive one other comment from Airport Land Use Commission. They just wanted to point out that a portion of this property is located in Zone C, but they had no issue or comment because there's no development proposed with this project. It's consistent with the general plan and zoning. It's zoned rural residential, 5 acre minimum, variable to 1 acre. It's also, it's consistent with the general plan. We did do a review for coastal policy consistency and found no issues. And this project's also consistent with the goals and policies of the general plan and coastal element itself. So staff therefore recommends approval based on conditions as highlighted in the staff report. And that's it.
Thank you very much. So I know the applicant's online, so Vance, you've got your hand raised.
Oh, no, just if you have any questions.
All right, well, I have none at this point, so I will go ahead and open up the public hearing. Are there any members from the public that wish to speak on this matter?
No requests have been submitted.
Thank you very much. I'll return it back to the Coastal Permit Administrator, and based on the evidence provided herein in the staff report, I will go ahead and approve your project, subject to the findings contained in the staff report as well as the conditions of approval. And so with that, your project is approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, we move forward to item number 4, matters from staff. Do we have any matters from staff?
I don't believe so.
Doesn't appear so. Do we have any matters from the public? Are there anyone that wishes to speak?
There
under
have
this
been no requests made for speaking from the public.
All right, so that brings us to item number 6, which is adjournment, and I will go ahead and adjourn at 11:21 a.m. Thank you very much.